Hi everybody, and thank you so much for being here. Today's video is one of those where I'm so proud of myself and anybody else who has gone through any forms of abuse in their life. I kind of oddly, I guess, want to wish you a happy Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I know it might not be happy, obviously, but for me, it is a time of just, remembrance and just a time of really me trying to get my voice out there and for other men and women and anybody who can learn more about domestic violence and domestic abuse. This really, really is so important and is something that, unfortunately, especially due to COVID-19, and people really are staying more at home, the cases of domestic violence have risen. But that certainly doesn't mean, our work has to stop. We are able to do so much more and help each other so much more, and that's truly why I even started this channel. I really wanted to tell my story, not only for myself, but for other people to hear it so that they truly know they aren't alone, that this can happen to anyone. 1 in 4 people know someone that either was directly affected or grew up with it in their home, whatever it may be. Domestic violence is something that is not spoken about enough. It is not something that people like to bring up for obvious reasons, but it is so important because the only way that we can change a stigma around something like domestic violence is having people educate themselves and learn about it, learn what you can do to help not only yourself, but someone else who you may not even know may be in a situation like this. I will put a link to my original kind of series all about the power and control wheel, which is where I break down a wheel that is well known within kind of the abuse system of just this is how abuse happens, but it's really my first kind of videos here on YouTube where I talk about my abuse story and being in a domestic abusive relationship, and it truly is something that I wouldn't wish on anybody, and is definitely the hardest thing that I've ever gone through in my life. But I also know that I would not be where I am in so many areas of my life without that happening. So I want anybody who has gone through this to know that there is, greener grass on the other side, that they are definitely able to get through it. They are able to come through it as a stronger, better person, even though some of the most horrible things may have happened to them. But I wanted to give you just a little bit of history because I am a little bit of a history nerd about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Please don't mind as I look down at some notes. But Domestic Violence Awareness Month started in 1981 by the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence for a Day of Unity to connect battered women's advocates across this country. Now, as I've said, domestic violence affects multitudes of people, men, women, doesn't matter your race or religion, your culture, your status. And it's also not just about physical violence. This is emotional violence. It is verbal violence. There are so many different types of abuse that someone can go through. And mine did, yes, get physical, but so much more of mine was emotional abuse that I went through, and just me being verbally assaulted and truly just believing in the lies and the coercion of everything that was happening to me. Now, here is another kind of interesting thing just for you to know. Since the Violence Against Women Act passed in 1994, now, in case you don't know, I am 26. This act was only passed in 1994. That's the year I was born. It is depressing to me that it wasn't until 1994 that something like this was passed, but better late than never. But there is still so much more to be done. In this landmark legislation, which was actually led by then Senator Joe Biden, now Vice President Biden, now also, potential president, combine new and previous kind of offenders accountable, to hold them accountable for what they have done, and provide programs for victims so that women and men or anybody who has been abused can try to get themselves back up and, into wherever they need to be, back into the workforce, back into just being themselves, because I was battered to the point, maybe not physically, but emotionally and verbally, to the point where I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to turn to. I didn't know how to get any of myself back. And I have found myself now so much stronger. I just want anybody to know that if they are struggling, or if they are at a point where they just don't know what they can do next, talk to somebody, read something. You know, there are so many different resources. I will put links below to different places you can call, just different websites you can look at. Just try to do what you can to better yourself. That is what is so important. And learning about yourself, loving yourself, and understanding that you are important, that you deserve respect, that you are someone who is worthy. Understand that, know it, and believe it. So, between 1993 and 2010, the overall rate of domestic violence dropped nearly 2/3, and state laws have reformed to address issues such as dating abuse in the workplace, stalking, employment discrimination, and more. And obviously, we saw such a big surge with the, what was it? No More? Oh my gosh, I can't even think of what it's called. Why can't I think of it? The big movement that happened kind of within within Hollywood and everything with Harvey Weinstein, and just treating everybody with the respect that they truly deserve is what is so important with all of this. I am going to share kind of what I learned here below, because I didn't know this. I am someone who was directly affected by this, and I never learned about any of this, not in school, not by anybody. To me, that's really sad. To me, I feel like this should have been in a health class. This should have been part of something for me to learn. And I hope maybe someday I'll change that, or someone will change it, so that more people are aware of how important it is to not only love yourself, but to value yourself and understand that you deserve respect. Understand that nobody should ever have anybody else's hands put on them. Nobody should ever have to go through verbal abuse, emotional abuse. It's not okay. It is nothing ever to be tolerated. Wherever you are, whatever is happening, if you are in a relationship with someone, regardless of if it's maybe your boss, or if it is someone who is, you know, a romantic partner, you never deserve that, ever. So make sure you stand up for yourself if you can, if you're in a place that is safe, if perhaps it's at work. But if you can't, there are also many resources where you can either text a number, you can email, you can chat, you can go online, you can call if you can. There are ways that you can get help, and I want nothing more than for people to be able to get the help that they need, and to feel secure and to feel safe. And I know that can be tricky. I know it can be so tricky. I had the moments where I tried calling the cops and the phone was ripped out of my hands. I know it can be hard, but try to find a time wherever you can, whenever you can, because you're worth it, because you matter, because you're important. And I want you to know that you can sit and be strong, or you can stand and be strong with who you are. You know, you are able to be the best person. You are able to be your best self. Even if now you feel like you are clouded and you are bogged down by a horrible abusive relationship, know that it will get better once you are out. Truly, it was difficult when I was set free and I finally broke free. I felt very lost, but it will get better. I've been out of my abusive relationship for over 2 years, and I continue to learn and I continue to grow, and that's not without hard days, that's not without difficult times. But when you go through the difficult times, and when you see what you have been able to go through and make it to the other side, there is nothing you can't accomplish. Know that and believe it. Thank you so much for being here. I just kind of felt like I needed to talk about it because it happened to me. If you need some more resources, look below in the description box. Hopefully you will find some. Know that love is respect and that you deserve it. Everybody deserves respect. Nobody should have to tolerate abuse at any level. Thank you again for being here, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye, guys.